Hey guys, it's Maymay, and on this episode we will talk about punches, the basics of them. Now, as I show you my punch collection, I will let you know that there are some things in this world that people just need to collect, and for me, it's punches. I don't know what it is, I just love them and I like to have them in my collection. And although I have a die cutting system of the Cricut and I also have the Cuttlebug to cut other things, I love the convenience of punches. So I want to talk to you about them tonight just a little bit and how much I love them and what I do with them. So let's get started. Now, if you've never seen a punch a day in your life, this is what one is. This is a paper punch. This one is a 1 3/4 inch circle paper punch, and this one is made by EK Success. Several things are these are pretty cool. I always call these like the whale punches. They look like a whale to me. See that? Anyway, let me show you how to use a punch just in general. A punch is made so that when you feed paper into the mouth of the punch, it shows up in the bottom part where you can see what you're going to punch, and then you punch. And this gives you whatever shape your punch is made to give you. A lot of times you'll find that they have little markings on them so you can line up different things. And if you ever want to punch something specific, let's say I want to punch out an A, or I had a stamp or something on my paper that I wanted to punch out into this shape, then I can place that into my punch with the image facing up and punch. And so that way I get the image onto a shape. Now, why do I love punches so much? Because they are fast and easy. Let me show you something I really love. Taking the same 1 3/4 inch circle punch, I'm going to add in a 2 inch scallop circle punch. They are not the same brand. Notice that. You don't have to have the same brand. Your measurements just have to match. So where this one's 1 3/4 of a circle, this one's a 2 inch scallop. So if I take something like this purple paper and I punch a scallop that's 2 inches, I can then take this 1 3/4 inch circle and lay it on top, and I get a cute little border. Let me bring that up for you. See that nifty little border we get? So easy. I started with these two because these are the two punches that get more use in my craft room than any other. I love these guys. I feel like I can put a lot on this 1 3/4 inch size, and then I get instant kind of matted embellishments for whatever I'm doing. I just love the way these two work together. But it doesn't have to just be these two. You can use lots of things that nest. Let's look at some other ones that do. This style of punch is pretty interesting. You notice that it has 3 images on the front that kind of sit inside each other, and on the end it has 3 different images. This one will cut any one of all of these 3. So the first thing you do is unlock it. These come with this lock on the back so that when you close them they have this nice flat profile. I really like that. And 3 different things for me to cut. I'm going to start with the solid one. So I just slide that dial over to the solid image. When I punch with it shaped with it on the solid image, that's what I get, is a solid image punch from the paper. Now if we move it over one, and it has the solid image plus a little insert, let's see what we get from it. This time, we get 2 images. We get the base, the edge, and the inside. So now we're working with a large one, small one, and the edge. Now let's do the last one. Okay, this time you can see we get a smaller one, a base or an edge for that size, and the larger one again. So this is pretty cool because if you want some things that will nest together, or if you want to stack them, check this out. These two are the same size. If this was a different color, you'd have an edge going around your image. So lots of different things to do this or to use this for, and this is called a nesting punch, or that's what I call them. I call them a nesting punch because the images will nest together. Now I want to point out some punches that you might think would nest, but won't. And I want to show you what you need to look for if you're looking at nesting punches. These punches are by Fiskars, and these are lever punches. They have more of a lever feel to the punch portion of them, which I really love. If you have any problems with your hands, like arthritis or anything like that, or carpal tunnel, these are so easy to use because it really uses all the strength in your hand, and you're not having to press so hard. Let me show you what these look like when you punch them. I'm going to punch this large one with this purple paper, and I want to tell you something. If you put the paper into these lever punches and you just kind of go to punch it, you're not as steady. What you have to do is push this paper all the way in, okay, till you feel it stop. And then you get a much more steady punch. So there's one little tag. And now notice that this one is the same image but smaller. Push that paper all the way in. But, let me show you. These don't nest correctly. See how one is super small and kind of off? It's not exact. Ideally, your nest would be more like this. Now you can cut that bottom away and get that look, but these don't nest together correctly. The reason is these are longer images. So even though this one is just a size smaller than this one is elongated and it doesn't nest well. I show you that because whenever you're purchasing punches, I want you to pay attention to the fact that some of them, just because they're smaller than the previous one, is not going to nest together. You do have to make sure that they're also the correct width. Didn't have any luck with these. I really hoped that these would nest together, but they didn't. I still use them though. Now I want to talk to you about this style punch. Now I want to bring this one up now because this one looks like a nesting punch. Can you see the button? It looks as though it would have a cut and then a circle inside of a circle and then the button, but it doesn't. Let me show you what this one does. This is a cut and emboss punch. So this one's not only going to cut the button, it's going to emboss the shape in as well. Do you see how that button comes out? And the edges are embossed. I hope you can see that on camera. Let me come up closer. See how those edges are embossed? Super cool. I love this punch. A couple of things I want to show you. You know how on the other punches we were able to turn them over and see the backside so we can line something up? You're not able to do that with these guys. The reason is they have some residue in them. But they are closed up because this piece has to also emboss, so you can't see through these. But how cool is that to get the punch and the emboss? And I tell you this because I don't want you to go shopping and see this and think, oh, this is two different punches, the circle and the button, because it's not. You need to be sure you read your packages on punches because this, like I said, is an embossing punch. Let's look at one more embossing punch. I love this dude. This is my owl punch that punches the owl shape and embosses his eyes and tummy. Let me show you what he looks like when he's done. Now, these punches are made so that they have a little piece that stays connected to your paper when you take it out. The reason for that is if they didn't, they might get lost in the punch because there's no hole for it to fall through. All you have to do is just nip those off when you get through punching them. But you can see that this now has eyes and a tummy. I hope you can see that. I'm going to try doing it again so it'll be hard, so it'll be deeper etched. Yeah, this one's better. Okay, so now you can see his eyes better and his tummy. Okay, so that is another embossing punch, which I love. I love the ones that cut and emboss. Now, more companies than just Martha Stewart do it, but these are both Martha Stewart punches. So if you're looking for these, you can find them where they carry Martha Stewart. But I love embossing and punching. Now I want to show you a punch that is super cool. This punch doesn't punch all the way at all. This is like a punch that punches part of the paper and then part stays connected so it becomes a 3D element in your paper. Let me show you what I mean. Once you punch it, pull it out. Now what you get is snowflake arms that will stand up. The center is punched, but this is still connected so you get a 3D snowflake feel. How neat is that? So this one in particular is made by EK Success. I know Martha Stewart has these as well. And you'll notice that this one does not give you a way to see it on the bottom. So you do just have to know that that's where it lines up. The cool thing they do for you though is they give you these dash lines. So if you need to line it up with something to get it just right, you can do that using those lines. So anyway, this one I call it like a semi-punch because it punches through some of the paper, but not all the paper. That one's cool. I want to do something with that one soon. Now let's talk about this big guy. I love this punch. See this snowman? This is what it creates in the finished product. But in the meantime, you get these little pieces. I'm going to flip it over for you. See all those pieces that you get? I'm going to punch it real quick and show you what we get. Alright, so here's all the little pieces, and I'm trying to get them laid out where you can see them. We end up getting his body, his what is, oh, his head. What is that? That's his head. So it goes like that. Then you get a hat that goes like this, and then you have his stick and his little heart and his little nose and stuff like that. Now there are pros and cons to this. I love that it is a snowman punch. What is not convenient is if you want to do it in colors, you have to go in and put paper at each one of the little holes to get the specific item so you have the right color for what you need. For example, if you wanted a black hat, you'd need to take a black piece of paper and line it up underneath this hat punch and punch that. You end up with a lot of scrap on this, but if you're using stuff from your scrap drawer anyway, it doesn't matter. You're just using up little small pieces. Now another cool thing about a punch like this, let's say that you wanted to make, I don't know, a reindeer. And because I've done this before, I know this works. You can take this same punch, turn this guy upside down, use his arm as an antler instead of an arm. You would have to punch another arm for this side, for that antler. And then this, punch it in red, and you have a Rudolph nose here in this area. That's what's called punch art. Now, what's cool about punch art is taking the shapes and the images that come out of your punches and turning them into other things. I love punch art. I don't do a lot of it on my channel, but I do love doing that. But here's what I did. To make things easier, I made a Pinterest board of punch art, and I will link that below, as well as I found several YouTube videos where these talented ladies are doing punch art. And I made a playlist of those, and I'll link that below too so you can take a look at it. They are fantastic. By the way, this punch is made by McGill, if you're wondering, and I picked these up at TJ Maxx when they're on clearance. Now let's talk about border punches. I really like border punches. These are so versatile. You can use them in everything from cards to mini albums to scrapbook layouts. They're just very versatile. I want to show you how a border punch works. I'm not going to use this one because I think it's a little hard to see. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. This border punch does two things. It cuts out the zigzag and it embosses that stitch line. Let me show you what it looks like when it's punched. It's really pretty. This is actually the one we used on the mini album. You might remember it. When it's punched, it looks like this. You probably cannot see the embossed stitches. They're not very deep, but they are in there. Now, to use a border punch, this is what you do. These silver markings are your guide. You punch one time, okay? I typically just center my page. You can start it at one end, here. You can start it at this end, but I typically center the page. Once you have one punch, you line this up with your guide on the side. So you'll take the negative space of the punch and line it up with the silver markings on the side. Then punch. Once you do that, you get a continuous border punch. And you just keep going doing the same thing. Now there's a tip for border punching I want to share with you. I'm going to take this away for now. It doesn't matter, but I want to show you this. If you put your punch, your image in, or your cutaway in, and you press it to the edge on this side, it will not cut straight. You have to make sure that the straight side of your paper is lined up in the stopper here on the side. That way you know you'll get a nice even cut. These just need to be lined up with the design. And let's keep going. Now I want to show you something else. I'm going to go to this end and show you another thing. Let's say we're doing this border punch, and I punch it like this, and then I just move it down and line it up, and punch it here, but I miss an area in the middle. Never fear. Just place it back inside your punch, line it up on either side, punch one more time, and it'll clean that up for you. So that's how to use a border punch. Now I want you to know something. In those videos I linked below, there are some ladies doing some amazing things with border punches, and it would take way too long to put that in this video for you. So go check out that playlist. Also, when you look at that playlist, when the videos pop up, look at the suggested videos on the side, because there are so many border punch and punch videos. So go check those out as well. So that's how you use a border punch. Now I want to talk about this guy. Everybody loves this guy, right? This is the We Are Memory Keepers Crop-A-Dile Corner Chomper. You've probably seen this one used a bunch. When you first get this guy, he has these wings, but they're closed. You have to open those wings to create this little V shape here. Once you have that V shape, this guy will do corners in two different sizes. He'll do 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. Let me show you a 1/2 inch corner. This is a 1/2 inch corner. Do you see that? Now I want to show you a tip. I learned this the hard way. If you put this in and it is not lined up correctly, you are not going to get a clean corner. What I do is, do you see this flat portion of the punch? I take the paper and my thumb and I guide it in using some pressure forward on my thumb. Once I know it's in there nice and snug, I then punch. And that allows me to get a nice smooth corner. This is the 1/2 inch. If you flip it over, you get the 1/4 inch. So that's this guy. Now, if you were going to purchase a corner rounder, I really love this one. I've not had a lot of luck with the smaller handheld ones. This one has been really good for me. However, some companies make corner rounders that are shaped a lot like this. I've not had a lot of luck with those. I don't know what it is. They just don't seem to punch very smooth. But I will show you one I really like. This guy. He is by EK Success. And he has a V shape, but it's built inside of these little guys right here. I want to show you. See how square this corner is? You just stick him inside of the V shape and punch, and you get a nice tiny corner round. I got this guy at TJ Maxx and I actually thought he did something different, but no, he punches corners. He locks down, so for storage, and then, isn't this cool? I love how this one is. So it basically gives me 3 different sizes of corners. So if you find this guy, pick him up. He's pretty convenient, but this is the one that you'll get probably the most use out of. Sometimes you might find a punch that looks something like this. And if you look to the side, you'll see that this is petals and a strip that punch out. Let's look at what this one does. I unlocked it from the bottom. And I have this strip of paper that's kind of messed up. It was in my scrap drawer. I'm just going to line this paper up to the edge for this one and punch. Then I'm going to move it down and keep lining it up. So now you can see I have this strip of petals cut from the paper. What I like to do is take the paper and just start to curl it in my hand, just let the heat of my hand curl it. And then this is the piece that comes with the flower punch board. I'm going to show you how I like to use it. I take this strip and put it into the slotted end of this tool and then roll. And I'm not going to roll very tight. I'm just going to kind of hold it loosely and just let it pile up on itself. Just like this. And once I have it rolled all the way, then I can take my fingers and start to open these petals out. And you see that we get a flower shape. And you'll play with this and you'll learn which way or how big or how many petals or what have you. But that's what this guy does. He makes flowers. This was not great. I'm doing it in a hurry, but you see the point that you get this little flower. So sometimes you're going to find punches that do things like that. That's what this one does. Now another thing is you can use this one to make really cool border edges for papers. I think it looks really cool. So if you see punches that you're not sure what they're for, read the package and I bet it tells you it builds something else. Now let's talk about these kind of guys. These are punch boards from We Are Memory Keepers. And a lot of times you might not think that this is a punch, but it is. It's a punch that creates an envelope. But not only that, it also allows you to take the shape that this punch makes and turn it into other things. Let me show you something for example. I have this piece of paper here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip it into the punch area and I'm going to split the center of the punch. So I'm going to line it up in the middle of the punch and punch. Then I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Line it up in the center and punch. And now you can see that I have a file tab edge. Isn't that cool? So just by doing that, instead of using it for an envelope, you can use it to make like a file tab. You can also use this other end for different things. I'll put it in here and show you what it does. If you don't have a corner rounder, you do if you have the envelope board, it makes a perfect rounded corner. Now, I have linked in those videos some folks who are doing some really cool stuff with this. I have one lady who's making a snowman treat box using the envelope punch board. It is super cool. So be sure to check that video out too. Along the same lines of punches that do things more than just what they're designed for, remember this is the one that is the flower punch board and it makes beautiful flowers. But I used it to make cards and I also use it in my latest mini album project because I like the way it made a flap for the page. So think outside the box. Let me show you this. If you have this punch, you also have this punch. So think about what you could use that for. What a great edge is that. You could use it for anything. And just think outside the box. Try to use your punches for more than one thing. You'll learn a lot when you go through those punch art videos because they're going to show you a whole lot about punches. I thought for kicks and giggles I'd show you my largest punch and my smallest punch in my collection. This punch is 2-inch square. Can you see that? It's a 2-inch scallop square. And then this one is a 1/4-inch cupcake. I thought that'd be fun to look at. I want to talk to you about collecting. This is what I try to do. I try to keep up with what I have in my collection. And when I'm out shopping, if I see something on clearance that I know will work with my collection, or if it's something totally different than I have, I try to pick them up like that. I never pay full price. Most of the time, if I pick up a punch, it's either on a clearance rack or I found it at TJ Maxx at a really good price. Another thing, I had someone ask me recently what I thought about the systems. Now, when I say the systems, I mean they make those systems that are kind of a line like this, and you put a punch in it and you can use it with that piece. You have to have the punch to sit inside of it. I know Fiskars makes one, Tonic makes one. I actually think Fiskars has 2 different systems. The reason I steer clear of this system, not because they're not good, they are, they work very well, but that ties me down to having to purchase a specific type of insert to make it work. With this, I've got a 2-inch scallop square here, a 1/4-inch cupcake. If I need a 2.5-inch heart, I've got it right here. And I don't have to worry about this one being the same brand as this one, or this one being the same brand as this one. So my collection can get built up really good, really fast by doing that. So if I had all the money in the world, I would probably buy those systems too, because I think they work great. But since I don't, I just try to go the most economical way I can. You might want to create for yourself a punch book where you just go through and punch your image out onto a small piece of paper and then put a loop through it so it's a book. And then when you're out shopping, you can flip through and make sure, oh, do I have this punch already or do I not? That may be overkill for some people. I kind of just keep up with what I've got, and I purchase them that way. I just thought I'd bring some more down from my collection and show you a few while we continue to talk a little bit. Please don't forget that on Thursday, Jane will be doing the basics of art mediums. That's going to be amazing, and you don't want to miss that. That'll be on Jane's channel, and I'll link that below. Also, don't forget that your secret letter for this week is A, as in Amy. Don't forget that one. If you're collecting the letters, you should have 2, 4, 6... You should have 7 letters as of today. Keep up with those letters. You don't have to put them in the comments. Just save them for the very last video, and we will have that drawing for you. If you want more details on the drawing, just check out my blog at www.maymaymadeit.com, and the details about the giveaway are listed there. All right, guys, please be sure to check out my Pinterest board, and please be sure to check out those videos. You will learn so much from those things about punches that you never knew. Super cool things, and I just went to YouTube for the inspiration. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little shorter than the other ones, but punches are pretty simple, right? Okay, guys, talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.